Okay, good evening, everyone. Please be aware if you are attending this meeting, our meetings are recorded for future viewing, and we are privileged to gather on the traditional territory of the Kwakwaka'wakw. So I'll call the meeting to order. Before we adopt the agenda, I'll just ask, I believe she should be here any moment, but ask that item 8A be moved to right after the minutes. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One, Shelley is in a different time zone, 3 hours later than us, and she felt it very important for her to participate in the bylaw conversation. And also, it was brought to my attention at the beginning of the meeting that the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, after third reading, it must go to them, and it could take up to 3 weeks before we can give it fourth reading. So I'm proposing then that 8A gets slid in after the meeting minutes. Are there any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor? As amended and opposed? It's carried. Wondering if there's why it says for Councillor Downey on hold, because that's something new that I've never seen before. There we go. Okay, so we'll go to item 4A. We've got the minutes of July 12th, 2022, special meeting of council. Are there any amendments? No. So move then to adopt the minutes, seconded by Councillor Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Minutes of the July 12th, 2022 regular council meeting. Moved. Okay. Seconded by?
Second that.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. And then finally, the minutes of the July 22nd, 2022 special council meeting minutes. Councillor Downey will move. I heard her. I didn't hear her, but I saw your mouth. Seconded by Councillor Barron. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. So we'll scoot to item 8A, which is our zoning bylaw number 705, 2021. And I'll ask for a motion for third reading, and then we can move to discussion. Moved by Councillor Barron, seconded by Councillor Downey. Okay. Discussion based on what we heard last night. How does council feel about where the zoning bylaw is sitting at the current moment?
I comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that it was made very clear that this was a rewrite of the existing bylaw. It was cleaned up to be and made with the correct legal language that's required. There were some revisions and cleanup of the definitions, additions and deletions and cleaning up. And so as it stands, it's better than we had. I am satisfied with moving this forward for third reading. And yet I do understand that there will and is still work to do on this zoning bylaw going forward. But as it is, I'd like to see this document passed. So I'm supporting it this evening.
Further comments or any questions that you have? Kevin Brooks is with us this evening if you had a question for him.
I just think that the bylaw has to be looked at as a living document, and it has to be looked at frequently and pieces attacked, if you will, or it has to be a constant, like it almost should be on the agenda every quarter or something structurally, just from a process point of view, so that you don't get into this predicament where you've got so many big things all at once, is my 2 bits.
Thank you. Any further comments? Just finally, I'd like to say that I was pleased with last night's hearing, and I think that council heard from the public and we made the necessary changes. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried.
Okay. If I may, Council, I appreciate you moving this forward to the beginning of the agenda. I have a trip in a few hours to catch a plane, so I would like to excuse myself from the remainder of the meeting and wish you well.
Thank you very much, Councillor Downey.
Thank you.
Okay, safe travels. Item 5A, we've got the Orca Fest 2022 report. They're asking for a few items. The closure of Beach Drive. I believe they're in discussion with General Properties on the vendor area and the parade route. Because I organized that in the past, I was going to speak with them about it because they actually can't close down portions of the road, especially if it inhibits ferry traffic. So, but otherwise, it looks like it's a similar event, and I'll just refer to staff. Is there anything that you feel we need a motion on?
Through the chair at this time, nothing. I think everything is in order.
Okay. And oh, you're in conversation, sorry, about the insurance piece, correct?
Yes, I just had a conversation this afternoon, so
Okay.
we'll take care of that.
And then report back to us if there's, okay, great. So receive and files in order then here. Okay, seconded by. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, next we've got item 7A, Rogers proposed communication site. We'll move that for discussion. Moved, seconded, favor, okay. Comments, questions? Oh, he's still here yet.
Kevin's not online, but he'd be available if I message him and he can come on.
Okay, do
Sure.
you want to ask him if perhaps he can, and we'll go to the next, any other question if it's possible?
Sure.
Councillor Cole, did you have a question or comment to make on that?
Thank you, Mayor Wixom. Yeah, I think it's the worst idea ever. A 20-meter tall tower that's our whole, the whole Pioneer Hill development, et cetera, that we're dreaming of. We'll see that. A bunch of questions. Yeah, it seems to be on the edge of the property line, no setback, and should require setback to meet. Yeah, I would really like to know, like, what kind of diligence was put into choosing this location. Like, why can't it be at the top of the hill with the other towers?
Mm.
We have property up there. If this is the best location, the neighboring property is the town of Port McNeill, the old school.
Mm.
So, like, how does that fit in with our plans for the old school?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned that they could just, and maybe some clarification from staff, can they just go ahead with this without? Sounds like they have a right of way, and just a final comment, if like I said, the town owns the property right next to it, like, why isn't it on the town property, and why aren't we getting the revenue for it if we're going to be looking at this thing?
Mm.
So that's my initial comments.
Yeah, and I was reading on page 23, it says, although Innovation Science and Economic Development Canada, ISED, has exclusive jurisdiction over placement of wireless telecommunications facilities, it requires the carriers to consult with the local land use authority and the general public regarding new installations. And when I look through this and I see that their intention is to talk to neighboring businesses, I'd like to know where that general public comes in, because like you said, Councillor Cole, these things aren't always entirely popular. And if this is the process that they go through, and I'll get clarification from staff whether or not we have a say at the public consultation process, I certainly would like to send a message to them that they have some sort of an open house where they invite the public to come in, because I know the public has some very strong feelings about cell towers and where they're placed within our communities. Oh, there you are, Kevin.
Good
We
evening.
we have given third reading to our zoning bylaw, but we're needing a little bit of help. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on this Rogers Communications proposed site. I'll turn it over to Councillor Barron, who will re-ask her question, and then Councillor Cole had something as well. Go ahead. Okay, we'll go ahead, Derek. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, I just had a bunch of concerns there. I mean, first of all, they're not proposing any setbacks, and the way I read the bylaw, there should be setbacks. And my concern is, can they just go ahead with this? Say they met the setback requirements, can they go ahead with this project? Like, do we have any say? I mean, it's arguably will be an eyesore for future development above the hill and people who have already invested in properties and views, etc. Maybe not something for you to comment on, but if this is okay, like the town owns the property right next that borders it. So, if we're going to do that, why not? Can we lease that spot out to the town? My main concern was like, what kind of diligence was done in choosing this location? Like, to me, all the other cell towers are like at the top of the hill, and that just seems more logical to me. And yeah, that's just sort of my initial concerns.
Yeah, thanks. Through Mayor Wickstrom to Councillor Cole. All very valid concerns. So the way that the process ends up working with radio communications tower is dictated, as you likely know, by Industry Canada's protocol for consultation. Industry Canada will take into considerations council's comments before approving a radio tower of any kind, and the community's comments. So all of the comments you made, Councillor Cole, are very valid and should be provided back to them as initial comments as soon as possible. They have been in communication with both Brenda and myself throughout the last couple of weeks. We've stated what our preliminary concerns are, predominantly around the timing of their consultation versus key concerns of the community at this stage, because we believe that we needed to talk to council and the community first. But all of those key comments, your view plane comments, the location, the setback comments, all of those are very valid comments, and those need to be provided back to the consultant that's doing it and directly to Industry Canada.
So to further on that, Kevin, can we request, because one of the things just before, I don't know if you heard before you came on, it says that, the process with ISED spells out consultation with land use authority and then the general public. But as far as I see within this package, they're only addressing adjacent properties. So can we make a request that they also hold a public session and speak with the public about it and gain input?
To the mayor, yes, you can certainly make that request. And again, another reasonable request. Will they be required to do so? That's going to be up to Industry Canada when they review the comments provided by council on how the consultation is to proceed. This is one of those conversations we've had previously on other items that fall under federal jurisdiction. Typically, the federal government will be considerate of the local government's concerns, but they do not have to be.
Did you have a follow-up question, Councillor?
I did, thank you. Say this property was not zoned M1, C1 or C2, would they be able to proceed with something like this? Or is the fact that we're looking at this application right now at a cell phone tower in our downtown a result of having M1 zoning downtown?
Through the mayor, great question, Councillor Cole. Fundamentally, they can place a radio communications tower on any property, no matter the zoning. So you do see them on residential zones and things of that nature. So zoning fundamentally doesn't matter. However, when you see a telecommunications company look at placing radio towers, they typically try to place them in more service commercial and industrial land areas. So I do not know the due diligence that Rogers has gone through on this. but the zoning may have played, but that is speculation at this time.
Just one more comment, if I may. I am to council, I guess. I think it's very appropriate we ask for a public hearing because the neighboring property is the town of Port McNeil's public land. So I think that's, you know, I'd be surprised if they denied us. Like that's, to me,
Mhm.
that's a very good reason. And to your point, Mayor Wickstrom, yeah, it just shows, you know, 4 properties they need to notify. There's the people that live within eyesight and there's very real health concerns that people have with cell towers. So.
So to staff, Brenda, could you repeat the items that we mentioned that I saw you were taking notes that we would like sent to ISEP about the whole process and what we would like to see?
Yeah, through the chair, I heard the location, setbacks, the zoning, although it may not matter. Also being on or up against town property, and that we have a public consultation so that everybody can kind of put some input in.
But public consultation isn't open to the whole community, not
Right.
just the immediate property owners.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I ask one more question? In the picture they provided, they don't really give a scale on the thing on the top. Like, is that 10 feet or 20 feet?
Oh, yeah.
The things at the top, like they tell us it's 60 feet high. And I would really like to see an actual rendition, like them scale that tower, what it looks like next, because there's trees here. They look like to me, they're 60 feet, but I mean, I don't know, right? So
Mhm.
if they could actually provide,
A more detailed.
you know,
Schematic.
a rendition of, you know, plunk it in on a photo or something and actually show us what it might look like. And then maybe I'm getting uppity about nothing, you know, maybe it's not that big a deal, but
Would it be appropriate to ask how they came to the resolution to put it there? Like how would that be an appropriate, Kevin?
Kevin, in your
Yeah.
experience, is that ever?
Through the mayor,
Go ahead.
Council Baron, that's a very reasonable consideration, a very reasonable question. Right?
How they arrived at that location?
How they arrived at that location and
So-
were other alternative locations
Yeah.
considered?
yeah, I'd like to know if there's a plan B and C that might work better for our community.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone argues that Rogers needs better cell here for visitors and stuff, so.
Yep. We're not fundamentally against it. We're just questioning location. Yeah.
Which is very reasonable.
Okay, thank you very much. And so I guess can we make a motion then to direct staff to write that letter to ISEP on our behalf? Move, seconded. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you very much, Kevin. I think you're free to go. I don't think there's anything else that we'll be turning to you for.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you for tonight and yesterday as well. Thanks.
No problem at all. Cheers.
Okay, great. Next we'll move to item 7B. It's the RCMP 2022 Q1 report. See if file would be in order. We don't have any RCMP to answer any questions. Seconder. Great, all in favor? It's carried. Next, we've got item 7C. We've got the June, July 2022 Public Works Report. I believe we have our Public Works Manager online. If there's any questions for him based on the report. Nope. Okay, so motion to proceed. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Item 7D, June, July 2022 check listing. Okay. Seconded for that. And then I'll ask our questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions based on that report? I don't know what it looked like. Yeah. Mhm.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Page 8 of 13 of the report, 40 of the agenda. What's this, the CIBC mortgages all about?
Through the chair, yeah. So CIBC mortgages, sometimes residents will overpay their taxes. So they'll pay and the mortgage will pay as well. So it's quite a lengthy list of how many people this actually happens to with various banks as well. So Laura, our deputy finance officer, has been in contact with the banks and reconciling that whole process.
Thank you.
All right, no further questions. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Next, we've got item 7E. We have the harbor report. And we do have our harbor, actually, we have our current harbor manager with us, and we have our interim harbor manager. Troy, I forgot your last name. Okay, Seminole. Okay, great. Welcome very much. And the rest of council. Any questions based on their report? Are you going to get off easy today? Okay.
Can we just say thank you to Rebecca? As we'll
Oh,
probably
yes.
not
Thank
for
you. Yes,
a
that's
little while.
right. Rebecca will be going on maternity leave, and we wish you well, Rebecca. Thank you very much for your service. And yeah, wishing you all the best. Appreciate everything you've done. Thanks. Move receipt of the report. Seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Great. 7F, we have the Parks and Recreation Committee members. So you have 5 names before you. And we're just looking for us to approve. Yep.
Through the chair, information and approve, and I can forward the applications to the Parks and Rec liaison after the meeting.
Okay. All right. Any comments? Yeah.
I assume we'll have some vacancies for people in the future.
Yeah, I think
think-
we had
yeah, I
up
think we
to
said
9,
9 or
right?
something.
Yeah, up to 9. So yeah. Yes, so motion then to approve the 5 mentioned here.
Nope, they're listed here.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think what, so for process, and I missed that in reviewing the agenda with you, in the process, we did get their applications for us to take a look at.
Yeah, in the process, it has their applications and resumes if they sent them. It has other private information as well. So I thought we'd give the names here and you could approve those names or, and then the Parks and Rec liaison could go through the applications.
Yeah, and so my mistake in the past, what we had done is we redacted the pertinent information, but left the rest of their, I personally know everyone except for Mike McDonald. So, and I'm comfortable with the names as they are, but I know that others on council may not know everybody. Mhm. Well, if we're looking at September, the thing is the 13th of September, our meeting, we're either going to have to reschedule or council because 4 of us will be at UBCM. We do have a committee of the whole, which we could turn into a special meeting and we could review the names there at the beginning of September and then they could get underway. In all likelihood, this committee isn't going to meet in the summer. You know, some of them have children and they're planning vacations and yeah. So we could table this for our committee of the whole and just make that a special meeting. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I'd like to get the show on the road. We got 5 people signed up. I don't really care who they are or, you know. There's room for more people to join if there was 15 applicants and 9, we had to weed it out. I did see the applications, so.
Okay. Great. That's good information.
Yeah.
You're comfortable?
Yeah, I would like to
Yeah.
move, we accept the 5 members.
Okay.
Certainly come in.
Okay, fantastic. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Next, we have economic development update, 3 months update. We do have our economic development manager here and she can answer any questions that you may have. And if there are none, then a motion to receive.
I have a question. I noticed you're, Marilyn, you're working with Ice-T. So the idea is that, excuse me, we're working towards some sort of application for a grant through Ice-T.
Through the mayor. What I'm doing is I'm meeting the contribution agreement we have with Ice-T,
Okay.
which is
I
what we
understand.
entered into in December, I believe.
Okay. And just off the top of my head, is there any, I thought Ice-T had a program at one point. It was a relatively small grant, but it was for planning industrial, light industrial kind of parks. Are you aware of that or?
Through the chair, yes, I contacted Ice-T. They said that we have been funded for the economic development strategy in the past in 2014, 15, so we wouldn't be eligible to reapply on that unless we could prove that what we were planning was completely different than that strategy. Other than that, I know there are some other smaller grants, but we haven't really got any programs on the go that match that funding. So we're still working to meet the requirements of the original 75,000.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, was that question about the second report or the first report? Or they're a bit of both?
Just a general
Oh, okay,
question
okay.
about the. economic
Sorry, I just
development.
had
But yeah, you're right. We have two
yeah,
reports.
a text from a resident saying they couldn't get into the room, but I just notified them that they're probably in the wrong link because I don't see them here. Oh, okay, great. Sorry about that. I did have a comment on the second report, but sure, moved second. Right. So on the second report, Marilyn, you were talking about the economic development strategy and that it is somewhat dated. I'm not opposed to updating it. I think it does need to be updated, but I'm also conscious of the fact that on the zoning bylaw, one of the things that was a concern for council, not a concern, an area that we wanted to work on with the downtown, the M1, was to look at another, in consultation with the businesses, another category, because we recognize that we're fundamentally a service community. And so that there isn't anything necessarily wrong with some of the businesses that are there, but what could be the future vision, and how could we craft a different type of a industrial zone for the downtown core, or whatever you want to call it, a different zone for the downtown core. So I'm thinking about that and conscious of the fact that during the open house, the business community really wanted to be a part of any sort of forward-looking thing. So to me, that one is more, not more important, but rises to the top for me, but could also be done in conjunction with this. So if we met with the businesses to talk about that, you could glean some of the information that would help form the economic development strategy. And then that particular economic development strategy, a more robust update for that, I think would be appropriate to fall on the next new council.
Through the mayor to the mayor, I appreciate those comments. When I went through the strategy, I noticed a lot of the forward thinking was tied to 2014, which was quite a while ago, almost 10 years. So we have to rejig that. And one of the ways that I hope to get those goals discussed and set was through consultation. Meetings with the council, meeting with the business community, meeting with the general public, meeting with the youth, finding out where do they want to go in 5 years, and working that into the strategy, and then looking at ways to address their concerns, as well as sorting through the needs and the wants. There's a lot of things I want, but there's certain things I only need. And so that's where some of the discussion and contribution from the business community and the residents and the seniors, everybody would really come into play. So looking at our current strategy, I don't anticipate any of the meetings will be completed or the first draft ready until in late November, because we need everything as basic as a new message from the mayor, for example. We have a former mayor still listed on our strategy online. And just updating that will be, I think, a really basic step, and that will tie into the business plan, excuse me, for housing, for future development, additional business, who knows, essentially more industrial land made available. So I think if I have the support of council to start doing the basic legwork on this, that would be very helpful.
Okay, so what I hear you saying then is it's the basic legwork and then liaising with the next council as well and just getting it going. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Any other questions for our economic development manager? Okay, all those in favor of receipt then? Opposed, carried. Thank you very much for that. On to 7I, Canada Day event review. I heard great feedback. Thank you, Chris, to your crew and to you for organization. I don't think it was ever publicly said, so thank you very much. There's no questions for Chris on Canada Day. Move receipt. Second. Yep. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Next, we also have 7J, which is the July visitor experience report. And we do have Chris here to answer any questions on that as well. There's no questions, move receipt. Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you very much. And it's great, Chris, to see the numbers almost right back up to where they were in 2019 pre-pandemic. It's really good. Okay, we also have item 7K, animal control report. Move receipt. Move second. Yeah, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. And finally, we have the mayor's report. And the only thing that I have to update on that is on August 4th, the Island Coast Economic Trust funding discussion was not about the backup the ways to generate backup power. It was an information session on how to lobby, put at the forefront the fact that ICE-T, if it isn't funded, will cease to exist after 2023. And so it was just basically mayors and chair and staff. They asked for our at least one staff member to be there to talk about how we might be able to do that, and especially gearing up for UBCM. So there will be some speaking or talking points coming so that all of us are saying kind of the same message. And they are making a presentation to the Treasury Board in September. Anybody have a verbal report to make? Any council reports? No. Okay. There are no items from in camera to be made public, but I would like a motion, please, that council go in camera under section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of municipal service. Moved, seconded. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. I will ask if there are any questions from the public, first of all. Anybody here have a question? No, and anyone online have a question? Apologies, Sarah, that there was a mix-up in getting into the meeting. Did you have a question for council at all? We're just changing the status, so if anyone online has a question, feel free to ask. You're now able to do so. Okay, so seeing none, can I have a motion, please, to adjourn and go in camera? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much to the public who came this evening.